Hey guys, and welcome back. Especially for the Hidru community. As you've known, or maybe you don't know, I took a 3 week break, or in the process of taking a 3 week break, because I'll probably post this on the third week if this is done. But if you know that, then you should know that I will be starting Higurashi Chapter 2, Watanagashi, next week, and I have recorded the 3 episodes for that week, so that was pretty hype. But this is a bonus thing and it was pretty interesting thing to do. So I thought it would be fun because I've actually never really participated in something like this. So I recently knew a viewer, 96% done, suggested to play devil's advocate for my theories, and you would basically use information from that volume to kind of poke holes, or not even holes, just poke at certain points of evidence in my theory, and kind of, make me think more about it. And that was interesting. I was considering whether I should do this or not because it's not inherently like spoiling anything because it's all information I've read. But I guess it's sort of a mental aid in the fact that it makes me think more about the topics. But I think it's fine. Again, it's nothing too bad, and I probably need a little mental aid if I'm trying to figure this out. And again, it's not even that big of an aid. It's just saying, hey, you're when you're making these, you skipped over this information or whatever. So yeah, it's a little bit of a help, but I think it would be pretty fun to do. Because it was really fun making those theories, and I know to make it pure, you shouldn't really have someone else interacting with them, I guess, and just change them as I read them. But this is fun, so I want to give it a shot. Hopefully, you guys don't mind. Um, yeah, also, since I haven't really fully read all of them, I just kind of skimmed through them. There'll probably be a lot of cuts in this video just in case I need to, like, go back and look at my previous videos to see what he is talking about. So, yeah. Also, he says that C only covers certain points. It doesn't mean that my other points are correct. He just doesn't feel like covering them. So, yeah. Sorry. um, yeah, so I have his one, which he typed in a YouTube comment, but I just pasted it on a document because it's easier to go over for me. And another reason I'm making this video is because I don't want to type responses. It would be a lot of typing, and I'm pretty lazy. And you have to give a big shout out to this guy for going through my document and doing all this with all the grammar mistakes in it. It must have been pretty painful. Especially when I said I'd fix it, but I never do because, that's me. If you've been watching enough, you kind of know my personality with putting too much effort in things. So, yeah. Shout out to him. And of course, I have my sheet just to, check out the points which you said. Obviously, he's gonna skip over the murders because these are just summaries of what happened. And you should know the murders too if you're watching this. I hope. So his first point is 8, which I wrote. Rena, Mian, and the school teacher claim that Satoshi transferred out, but it is clear that transfer is a code for something else. Not sure if Rika or Satoko. See, this is how bad I am, bro. My favorite character, and I don't even spell her name right. Satoko talked about it, but I think they hinted at least Rika knew what happened. And he put, is transfer code or is it kindness for Satoko? It is about her brother, and she goes to that school. If you go to school every day, would you rather your teacher and classmates talk about your missing brother as though he'll never come back? It may be a code or a euphemism, but the motivations behind it are debatable. And before I started recording, I was really thinking about this, and it actually, I can actually see, it actually kind of changed my mind a lot about it. In a way, like I was really like sure. I was basically saying that it is a code for him being something bad happened to him. But when I read this, it does make a lot of sense. It could be kindness for Satoko. Um, And it might just be their kind of way of saying how he's missing. Like, it doesn't have to be necessarily evil. Like, um, yeah, it's just their way of explaining. That's why they were using transfer. And then I was done a rebuttal before I started this. Yeah, well, remember that chase scene where Ren is like, "Oh, I want to save you from being transferred," but that, and I'm like, "Oh, that means transfer is probably something super evil," and Rena knows what it is because she's part of it. But after thinking about it more, it doesn't actually mean have to be evil. Again, maybe Rena's just saw that Teichi was acting like Satoshi, so she thought he was gonna go missing, aka transferred away. So that's why. So when she was saying she wants to save him from being transferred, even she didn't actually necessarily know what was gonna happen to him, except that he would disappear. So I actually think that transfer being a kindness thing is actually a pretty good theory point. Obviously, this doesn't dismiss the fact that it could be an evil thing, but it actually really feels good in my gut. Like my gut's really agreeing with it, and I usually go with gut feelings. So yeah, this is a really nice point. Again, maybe that is a flaw in my thinking of automatically thinking that the word transfer is like code for like some sort of evil thing. When again, something evil or something weird could have happened to him, but doesn't mean like all the characters using it are evil, I guess. Anyways, I really like this point. This is a and transfers of kindness is something I'll be keeping in my mind going to the next going into the next chapter. Yeah, good shit. 9 and 10, I guess, combined. I'm grouping these together because largely they operate on a similar set of assumptions, excluding Ren's cute mode, which that's a train. Is my window closed? Yeah, so it shouldn't be too loud. Excluding Ren's Q mode, which everyone in the group acknowledges, there are all things only Keiichi perceives. Granted, in a large part of these sequences, he is alone with them, so there's no one else to verify these things, but doesn't mean it is reliable. Furthermore, there are a few moments like the Ohagi incident where Rena and Mion are together. Neither of them react to the change in behavior from each other, but does this suggest that Keiichi is unreliable, or that both of them are in on it? And let's go back to my 910. Rena and Mion on multiple occasions show a different personality that would be considered their normal selves. The only physical change in their appearance during this personality shift is the light in their eyes. They keep their speech mannerisms during their change. This specific change is not shown through any other character. Rena also has the cute mode and a younger persona, I think. When Keiichi first confronted her, this may be a sign of split personality disorder. So I it's basically saying that these I think I called them spooky modes or whatever. These personality shifts, excluding the cute modes, again, he is right that everyone does acknowledge them. Um, if they're real or not, because they're usually only seen by Keiichi, and it's basically asking, is he reliable or is he unreliable during those? Um, I mean, I think I do go into this in other evidence. I don't know if this is really a whole. I guess I am asserting that these are real and that his accounts are reliable, which again is probably a strong assertion, which is probably one of my weaknesses in in theory making, as seen from the previous one, which really changed my mind about things. So I have to improve on that. And then this isn't. This is kind of. It's not really something I can answer because you can probably argue if they're reliable or not both ways equally. Um, or unreliable like equally. I think that will just be revealed in time. Though I do think I talk about the like I don't know what the ohagi is. I guess it's the mochi thing, right? When they're together, and I think I do talk about how they do they do the personality shift, but they are talking like really similar to how they normally talk, and I do say that this might be because of Keiichi's stress. But if we're just going with how I feel about it, I don't know. I mean I also do say that I think Kaichi's overly stressed, and this isn't just normal stress. Like he's a kid thinking he's gonna be killed. Obviously, he's gonna have some sort of delusions and stuff. And I think that incident in particular could have been it, but I think it's I think uh, again losing my words without a script, even though I hate scripts too. Um, I do think the personality shifts are a thing, at least for Rena, right? Because I so firmly believe, or not firmly, but I kind of believe that she's under a split personality thing, and that would explain why, especially because of the chase she's seen, right? Like that had to be a different personality while Rena was chasing Kaiichi, and I guess this also asks the question if they are actually like accomplices, and this is like a whole big plan or whatever. But if I had to give definite answers, like Rena could have this personality changes on her own, and Mion could have her own thing, where she's actually not under personality changes. I don't know. I don't know. This one's a tough one, and I don't think I can really formulate an answer. This is more of just a thinking thing, because like I said, I did think I wrote that piece of evidence that the personality shifts are 100% real, and Kaichi is reliable in seeing them. But in the future, I should consider that maybe he isn't. And I do say that sometimes Keiichi is being unreliable through the stress. I think I've mentioned that multiple times in the playthrough, but I should at least write it down when I'm doing the theory making if it's in my mind anyways, just so it looks better. But yeah, there's my thoughts on that. My jumbled thoughts. At least Rena. I think at least Rena, it's safe to assume that there's multiple personality things. I don't know about Mion. I think Mion. Instead of the Mion is evil thing, then she could just have an evil thing along with Rena's like evil. Like well, Rena actually has a disorder. Mion could just have that hidden personality in her. If I had to say something. And 11. What is 11? Maybe I should read the thing first. Mion also showed the rage mode when Keiichi confronted her about the Watangashi murders and his suspicion that she was involved in the first case. She then displayed an extremely angry aura and commented that she should have killed Uishi back then after learning that Uishi was the one who to give Keiichi the information. While that does not prove the statements made by Keiichi, it does show that Mion had a history with Uishi and had the option to kill him at some point. And he said, this again is related to the last one, but furthermore, it can be assumed that Mion had the opportunity. Can it be assumed that Mion had the opportunity to kill him for that? Her wording is odd, but does that mean that she has an actual feasible opportunity to kill him, or just that in her state of rage she's saying she would have? Many people say like this when they're upset, especially angry teens. Now this one isn't hitting me as much anymore, just because of because this goes with the because I really do have the thought, and it is like pretty much set in stone, and I'm waiting for it to be smashed by the by the novel eventually. But I am like in my heart, I am 100% sure that the villagers have killed the first guy, 100%, and that maybe Mion didn't directly kill him, but she was definitely a part of it. And I really do think she probably had the opportunity to kill him. Like I said, I think her family. It's already been proven that they really have a lot of political pull, that they might be related to the Yakuza, I think. So if they did like catch Uishi like catch wind of Uishi like finding out that they did it or something like that, I feel like could easily be in the position to kill him. I think I do go in further, but when I actually go into theory making, that Uishi probably cut a deal with the village and the Sonozakis hand in hand about how they would like spare his life if he kept the information secret or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I get the point. Again, super strong, and that's my last point where I said that it shows that Mian had a history with Urushi and had the option to kill. At some point, it is again very headstrong argument or for evidence or whatever, and it could be wrong. Like maybe maybe as a kid she didn't have like the direct opportunity to kill him, but I think my point kind of stands. I don't know. This didn't really affect me as the other two did. And Angry Teens, yeah, sure. But again, I think Mion's in a little different position with her family backing. And I mean, even if she didn't have the opportunity to if she didn't have the opportunity to kill him, it doesn't actually take away the main point of the evidence, which is that Miyana had a history with Uishi, and if Mion had a history with Uishi, that means she probably had a history with the first case. So yeah, again, maybe I could reconsider my statement of saying that she could have killed him, but I don't think it actually takes away from the main point I was trying to make with that piece of evidence, that Mion is involved with the first case, somewhat. 14. Let's see what I wrote on 14. During the Mochi encounter, uh, Keiichi interpreted that Mion and Rena were in their alternative mode and making veiled threats, but in my opinion, their dialogue did not seem that out of place, and Keiichi may have imagined it as threatening since he was high stress during that time, which is, I guess, the evidence I was talking about when we were talking about 910, right? This isn't whole, but rather more suggesting that the bullets 9 out of 10 are not necessarily that bullets 910 are not necessarily reliable information. In those bullets, you mentioned they retain their speech patterns. And here, with the dialogue, does not seem out of place. However, Mion does not seem to know who he was with. And isn't that out of place? She was at school after all. So, I see. It's basically saying that my 9 and 10 points are kind of unreliable since this contradicts it. And I'd already said that they retain their speech pattern, so while stating that, you know, so my 9 and 10 says that part of their personality shifts means that they keep their speech mannerisms. And I see what he's saying, because in 14 I kind of counteract that by saying that their dialogue does not seem that out of place. But I was kind of making a different point. Like, when I say their mannerisms, I mean that Rena keeps her, like, repeating at the end of at the end of the sentence, and Mion keeps her, this old man knows everything. Like, that kind of stuff. But during this conversation, but usually, like, during their alternative modes or whatever, while they do keep those mannerisms, their actual dialogue seems very eerie. While in this situation, that I did not feel the eeriness from their dialogue, if that makes any sense. So I was saying this is kind of this feels out of place from the other instances where they're in their alternative spooky mode or whatever, where they do have their mannerisms, like again Rena doing the haws or the repeating stuff, while but talking in a very creepy tone. Like to me, this didn't feel creepy at all. And for the second point about however, Mian does seem to know who he was with, and isn't that out of place? She was at school after all. Um, sure, kind of. Um, I think it's been shown that Mian already knew beforehand that Uishi was talking to Keiichi. Um, I think in one of my theories I talk about how again Uishi is allied with the village, but not like directly involved in the murders, and this I'm just trying to relate it to the evidence without going too much into the theory. Um. Any, anyways, I don't know. Again, this is the whole point of this is that 9 and 10 aren't necessarily reliable, and I mean, sure, I guess I could say that maybe my characterizations of the alternative slash spooky stuff could be wrong, because, but I'm just saying that when I did watch the scene or read the scene, it felt really different from the other encounters with the alternative mode than before. I don't, and I don't think beyond knowing that he was with Uishi while she was at school isn't that like that suspicious, because I think she already knew beforehand, right? And she can just like make the connection that if Kaichi's skipping, he might be with Uishi. But sure, I mean, I don't know. This point just feels like different from this point, so it's hard to explain, right? Anyways, like yeah, I think I said what I wanted to say. I think there are different instances, but it's a suggestion, anyways. I guess categorizing the alternative mode characteristics, just from what we know, might be hard, and I'll try. I'm sure we'll see them again this chapter, the Watanagashi chapter, so I should be more open to that and look for more ways to define them, is what I'll get from that. 15. The sewing needle was never found by Keiichi or the police, but the police know that the garbage was scattered around the kitchen floor, so it can be assumed that someone searched the trash for the needle, but that does not prove the needle existed. We know that Keiichi went digging through the... I should highlight it. We know that Keiichi went digging through the trash for the needle. He does so when Uishi points out that it's evidence. It's never stated if he cleaned it up or not. Perhaps someone else just kept digging in the time he wasn't in the house, but perhaps Keiichi made a mess and then just left it like that from distress. I 100% agree with that. Okay, I have no problems with this. I really, I really do think. I mean, it's sort of a minor point, what from what I was actually going with from this evidence. But yeah, I did not think of that. I just assumed that Keiichi tidied up the mess and someone else searched for it afterwards. But you are 100% right that maybe Keiichi just never cleaned up the mess. No, that's actually a pretty big point then. So we don't have to make the assumption that someone searched for it afterwards. Interesting, and that makes a lot more sense, right? If they were searching for if someone was searching for evidence and stuff, I doubt they'd be looking for the needle, or like, yeah, the sewing needle anyways. So yeah, that's a really good point. I just completely glossed over that. Yeah, I 100% agree. 17. Uchi made contact with Satoshi, who also trained Shirena acted the same way Keiichi was acting. Could this be the start of the metal bat? This isn't. Keiichi also acted like Satoshi according to Mion. This isn't a whole, it's just additional evidence for ya. It's implied by how she reacts when Keiichi brings up Rena, making that comparison in the stop using the bat confrontation. She brings up Rena. Is it? Okay. I could have just kind of forgot the exact details of the confrontation. I don't actually remember Mion talking about that. Here, let's use one of those cuts since I actually haven't cut, which is kind of impressive. So I'll see you in a second. Okay. We back. Yeah, I just quickly watched it and I was skipping through it and it took me a little bit, but she does make like one little line about saying stop acting like Satoshi. So yep, that's good. Yeah. Additional evidence. Thanks, dude. So it is. I guess it doesn't really. Yeah. Okay. Nothing else about that. 19. Ushi has been working on this strange incident since the first case. When Keiichi told him about the needle incident, he seemed very nonchalant about Keiichi not being able to find the needle, which would have been a big clue if Enda not the culprit. Dude, I'm just seeing my head strongness while rereading these. God damn. This attitude shows that Ushi isn't trying to solve the case as intently as he started, or he knew the needle wasn't real. That's a bold assumption. Agreed. That is really bold. I should probably soften my. I don't know. I feel like when you're making evidences, you do want to make them sound like a statement, or make them into a statement. So I guess it's not too bad to do that. Does it mean he's not trying to solve the case, or does it mean he doesn't want Keiichi to have a panic attack over the phone about it? His motive is not clear. Not clear. True. I don't know though. My this made sense, but it's just weird, right? It's just I don't know if I agree with it. Like he doesn't want him to have a panic attack. But it's still I don't know. I, I I don't need to watch the scene again. I have it like perfectly in my head. I think my point still stands that Uishi really didn't like if you've been working on a case for so long and you finally get a chance to have some physical evidence to prove that something that there is like that it's justifiable working on the case, or at least physical evidence that someone's trying to kill Teichi, so you can take it to the police and maybe actually protect him. Like the fact that he just goes over it. I'm pretty sure he said, "Oh, that's too bad. We could have used that as evidence." Oh well. It just seems super suspicious to me. And maybe he does have good intentions, but I don't believe it. Sorry. I don't know. I can't roll with this point. I get it. I get it. His motive is not clear. This is me inferring a lot from his character, from what I know about the character. But I'm gonna use my like your point stands if we're just looking at the evidence, but I do have a I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep that evidence as it is. I really don't think actually I was thinking if he wait Like, in every situation I'm thinking of, because even if he was trying to solve the case, in my opinion, it's kind of shown that he doesn't actually care about Keiichi that much, and like wants to use him as bait or as a tool to solving the case. So like I don't think he would care about Keiichi having a panic attack over the phone. I don't know. This point doesn't really do too much for me, in my opinion. It does not affect my thinking process too much. Let's go to the next one. 20. Big 2-0. During Keiichi's encounter with Mion, when questioned about the mochi, Mion claims that she pulled a trick with one of the mochi, but never directly talks about the sewing needle. She claims that it was just a little prank, which either shows that Mion has a strict definition of humor, or that the prank she was talking about wasn't the needle but something else, and Keiichi didn't know about it since he threw out all the mochis. I actually really like that point. I want to see what he talks about it. It is stated that they only pranked one ohagi. So ohagis is ohagi another word for mochis? She. I'm a cut. I'll have to whatever, who cares? Actually we'll cut now. Okay, we're back. Sorry for that random cut. I probably have to do something about that. Yikes. So yeah, I just googled the ohachi and it's not mochi, it's like a different kind of dessert. But I'm just gonna keep calling it mochi. um but never directly talks about yeah, okay. Where were we on his? It is stated that they only pranked one ohagi out of the five. Keiichi only tried two. One was Rena's with the needle, and the others therefore was Mion's grandma's, which was normal. It can be verified all the um I don't know what this statement is. So this is interesting, I guess, because I'm talking about the confrontation with Mion, and Mion did say that it was her that did the prank, but what my dude over here saying that first of all he's claiming that it was Rena who did the needle. Oh, okay, I see. He's not claiming that it was Rena, but they're saying that one was made by Rena, where the other five was made by Mion's grandma, which was normal. I don't know how to make this. Um, so we're assuming that I don't know about this piece. So first of all, it's assuming that Rena's was the one with the needle, just because we know that Rena only made one of them, but it could be completely possible that the person who made five just put a needle in one of them, while Rena's was just normal, but it's different in the way because she's the one who made it herself. I don't know how I should just directly assume that Rena's is the one with the needle because she made one of them. Um, Also, the fact that Mion's grandma did the other five makes it weird that Mion did claim that she's the one who did the prank with the mochi. That's like I don't know. That's weird. Unless again also there's the fact that Mion's grandma could have made it and then she could have did the prank. Like what I was trying to say with the evidence, I don't know if this is getting lost in translation, but I was saying that maybe like if I had to make an idea for a prank, Mion's grandma made the five mochi, then obviously Mion took it to bring it to Teichi. Before that, she could have like put, I don't know, hot sauce or something in one of them, and maybe she was thinking that was a prank, and then the needle was just a separate incident, and then that would mean that it was Rena who did the needle. Yeah, okay. If I had to make a scenario which would explain the evidence, it would be Mian took the five mochi that the grandma made, maybe did one to one of them, and then brought it to Teichi, and then Rena obviously baked hers with the needle, and then they and then when Mian admitted to doing the thing, um, Teichi would automatically assume it was the needle, and the fact that he threw it against the wall doesn't actually mean he would notice anything different. Like, if it's a different spice or something, then it wouldn't really show on the wall, and if it is, it would be pretty minuscule, right? So I don't know. This point, I guess, makes. And again, he didn't find anything, including the needle, when he was looking through. I think that's besides the point. I don't know. It doesn't actually feel like it goes too well with the evidence I'm trying to present. Yeah, I guess we'll just move on from that. 21. Bold assumption. Oh, wait, what's 21? Also, during the confrontation with Mion, since Mion gets enraged from the statements Kichi made, it's soft proof that Mion was somehow involved with the case. Bold assumption. I too would get mad if someone instigated I was involved in a murder, whether I was involved in or not. I mean, I don't know. And then these are. It's not like these are bad points, or this isn't a bad point, but I think, yeah. Again, if you just look at it neutrally, but from what we know, I think assuming that she got angry because she got like because it's not that she just started off angry, right? She first she was sad, like she was being confronted, and then she turned angry after thinking about how this could have happened, right? And I think the levels of it. How should I explain this? It's hard to explain because again, it is a bold assumption. What did I do? Yeah, I'll admit, it's a bold assumption, and I do make bold assumptions, but throughout the evidence, but I don't think it's. But I think I guess maybe you can make the argument that putting assumptions into evidence when they should just be a matter of fact is not the way to go about it. But I think the statement that it soft proves Mion's involvement isn't. This doesn't really deny it. And yeah, if someone insinuated that I was involved in a murder, I would probably get mad or like just deny it. But again, Mion's level of anger was pretty high according to Keiichi. And if you're mad about saying that if you're mad that someone says, "Oh, you were involved in a murder," I don't think a good response would be saying, "Oh, I'm gonna murder that guy who said that," right? I don't know. Again, it could be just because she's young and she's hot-headed, but in my mind, I don't think that's the case. And I think like basically this is saying that this piece of evidence is just not it's not relevant. I guess that I guess that's what it's saying for other like bold assumption pieces that the evidence isn't really relevant. Because if I take away that assumption, then it's not really anything, right? But I do think that's relevant. So yeah, that's my response to that. 23. When Keiichi was running away from Rena, she repeatedly stated how she wants to understand Keiichi and save him from being transferred, but it did seem that she was intent on killing Keiichi with the hatchet, which soft confirms that being transferred is not being killed, like Keiichi constantly thought. Was she trying to kill him? She does have a hatchet, but she missed a perfectly good opportunity to axe him when she was towering over him with it. Furthermore, Rena is seen as a hatchet for dumpster diving, which is well established since the beginning, although perhaps dumpster diving is not always as innocent as it seems. Um, now that my mind has been opened up a bit about the word transferred, I can see a scenario where again maybe Kichi was super stressed out and Rena really did just want to talk and Kichi made it seem that she was being really creepy and maybe she did just bring her hatchet to dumpster dive or whatever, look for treasures. Um, and maybe the whole chase thing wasn't her trying to kill him, but her actually trying to learn why Kichi's being bothered and to stop him from disappearing like Satoshi. And if that's the case, she wouldn't again know what transferred means, but she knows that being transferred means disappearing or whatever. And she wants to stop that if she can stop him from acting like Satoshi. And that would be a pretty good alternative theory to that. Um, I'd have to watch the scene again actually for the towering over because I thought she was like monologuing right before killing him. So we'll put another stop. See you in a sec. Okay, we're back. I did watch that scene again. And I mean, it's a little sketchy to give her the benefit of the doubt, because when she was towering over him, she literally had the hatchet above her head, and with both of her hands up. And I mean, I don't know why else you would put both of your hands holding a hatchet above your head unless you're gonna swing down. In my opinion, the reason why she didn't kill him from the towering position was she was going to kill him, but then Kichi distracted her by talking, and then eventually he found the chance to kick her away. So again, you can take the kindness thing, whatever, Kichi delusional thing in theory, but I think that I think if you just watch this scene again, um, sure she like flubbed the up. She missed a perfectly good opportunity to axe him, but I don't think. But it's saying that. What am I trying to say? I do think she was trying to kill him. I think the towering and about to axe him and Techi distracting her, then getting away is actually a pretty good explanation when you rewatch the scene. And sure, she is seen with the hatchet all the time, but in the last segment, I don't know. Um, kind of seems like you're low key trying to. I don't want to say it. It kind of sounds low key like a spoiler, but it's. But again, it it does kind of make sense when you think about how she wants to bring Kichi to the dumpster during the scene to show him something, some new treasure or whatever. But I don't know about that. I don't think I have enough information to think about if dumpster diving is something else. But yeah, I to answer your question, was she trying to kill him? Like maybe she wasn't, but I personally really feel like she was trying to kill him, especially just after watching that scene again. So yeah, that's 26. Uh, sorry, I heard a dog in the background. Spooked me. Mian and Rena tried to inject a drug into Teichi, which they claimed that it was the same one to use Tomotaki and will make Teichi claw out his throat. Teichi resisted and blacked out. When he awoke, he found Mian and Rena brutally beaten to death with a metal bat. This leaves a blank space, which means it's possible that Teichi did not kill the two. It is also possible that Teichi did get injected with the drug, but it did not notice it, which leads to his attempted suicide by self-throat ripping. 26. Oof. Oof. Bit boy. Wait. Oh, there we go. While the time gap between Taichi blacking out and Taichi waking up next to corpses is vague and does leave room for debate whether he did kill them or someone else did, there are a few things to point out. The first is the very first scene of the game. While the narrator of the monologue is never stated, the sound effects that go with it indicate a bat murder, and furthermore, they talked about things that would only be relevant to Taichi, to our knowledge, like patting your head, something Taichi is known to do with Rena. It is not definitive, but it should not be forgotten. Furthermore, if someone else did it, it raises the obvious question of who the manager that Mion talked about. In that case, why not kill Taichi as he expected? And if it's the manager, then who's the crap you blackout? This is a very hole with no answers at all. Okay. Interesting that you don't point out the other fact that he might have got injected with the drug. Um, no, no, but yeah. Um, on the very first scene of the game, this is actually kind of funny because I actually addressed this in one of the new videos next week for the Onikakushi read through about my new theory on this. And I'm not gonna lie, after reading this, I kind of forgot that Keiichi patted Rena's head a lot because I think he also just did it in the Watanabe recordings, but because I had no idea who it was because I thought it was a red herring for Keiichi in the scene. But the statement I made, I guess it's kind of a spoiler for the next episode because I'd go on like a 5 minute, or not even 5 minute, maybe like 3 to 5 minute rant about how I thought it was Rita who did the first scene because she literally like pats everyone's head. And I'm like, maybe she's beating Keiichi or Satoko to death since she pats those two heads more than everyone else's. I don't know. I think um maybe I'd have to watch this scene again, even though I just recently saw it. He talked about things that would only be relevant to Keiichi, to our knowledge, which isn't a lot. So I don't know if that's really trustworthy. And then again, the patting your head thing. Rita does it a lot too. So again, I agree. It's not definitive, but it should not be forgotten. Like, and this actually helps put another theory that it's Keiichi doing that to Rena. But again, I kind of just want to leave it as its own thing and not involve it with this murder. I don't know. Again, it just feels like it's something for later. And yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong about it though. As for who did it, I cannot answer that. I would have no idea who would do it. I think the why not kill Keiichi because maybe he was injected with the drug and he would eventually die himself. Or again, if it's kind of shown a bit that the Keiichi is kind of like being toyed with or whatever, so maybe they wanted him to face a more dramatic death than him dying while he's unconscious. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of answers. It could have been an ally trying to protect Keiichi. It could have been. There's so many answers to it, but it's not something. And like you said, it's not something we could answer with the information that we have at hand. It's just not something answerable. But yeah, basically to take from that, Rita killed someone. I don't know how she killed someone with a bat being that small, but she did it. Confirmed. 29. Rena and Mian say that they want to kill Keiichi with the truck, but what would be the point of calling the doctor and the manager if they kill him? Yeah, okay. This could be a hint that the drug does not make them clot their throat. At no point do Rena and Mia say they want to kill Keiichi. All they say is they're going to do the same thing they did to Tomotaki. That is extremely different. True. I need to watch this scene again for sure then. BRB. Okay, I'm back. I watched the scene. You're right. They don't say that they're going to kill him. The direct quote is, "You're shit. You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomotaki-san." Which does sound very eerie, like it also includes the end result, but I guess it doesn't actually mean that, so. Where was it? I guess it's true. You're right. I do think I made the point that it doesn't mean the. I mean, even if we take this, it doesn't actually really contradict the point too much. Like the whole point of this is that maybe the drug doesn't make them kill themselves, and this is saying, yeah, it's the same thing. So yeah, it doesn't actually change too much. But again, my assumption was false, and they probably should have rewatched the scene beforehand. Good hit, 30. The teacher she told the children before the Watanagashi festival not to interact with any reporters, and if they do, answer correctly. She appeared to have a serious tone when speaking. This could be grooming the kids to be protective of Hinamizawa's secrets, or maybe a protective measure for the kids' safety. Not a contradiction, but it appears the change was made between year 3 and 4, given that one tip states that the house was. Is this the wrong tip? Yeah. Um, I don't know. It doesn't really. I see what you're saying. That now, between year 3 and 4 is when they started being more sensitive towards the village, but I don't really see how it relates to my point that she might be grooming the kids to be Hinamizawa's in the like culty style, or if they're just being safe. I don't know. It doesn't really go with the tip or the evidence. 33. Assumption. We don't know anything about 33. The fact that there was 2 men waiting to assault Keiichi near the dam may indicate that there's some knowledge that Keiichi would be there today, or that Rena would be attacking Keiichi today. Assumption. We don't know anything about these men, or who they were waiting for, or why. They did assault Keiichi, which is a red flag, but again, their motives are unclear. They are strangers. Technically true, but the fact that they attacked Keiichi. You're right. You're right. I guess I've said that they were waiting specifically to intercept Keiichi, but that could be wrong. I was about to say the fact that they attacked Keiichi is even though it's not, doesn't completely prove the fact. It's easy to connect the two, but it could be that they were waiting for someone else important, and when they saw Keiichi running, they knew that he was a target of interest and attacked him. I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess it was more of an assumption than a fact. Though I think even if we take away the point where that they were waiting because they had knowledge that he would be attacked today, that there's still some sort of enemy to Keiichi. I don't know. True. I agree. I was headstrong and I can't really back up this one as I could with the others. 34. Oishi claims that he did not have access directly to interview Rena when she had her school incident, and learned about how she was saying Oriyashiro-sama made her do it. Since we know Uishi is keeping information from Keiichi, it wouldn't be surprising this was a lie. Is he? He's our top. Even if he does keep information from Keiichi, does that mean it's malicious or just protocol? Granted, Uishi doesn't seem to follow the rules, but how much information is Keiichi entitled to? I think all my Uishi points again might have been skewed to more he is guilty, but this is just after reading the whole thing and me having my own personal like interpretation of Uishi's character. And I know this is more the assumption that we should be neutral to him, but just from his past actions, and again, they don't have to be inherently suspicious, but my mind is interpreting them as suspicious, so I think I'm just gonna stick with that. Um, and again, you say even if he does keep information from Keiichi, does that mean it's malicious or just protocol? And then you say he doesn't seem to follow the rules, so like I'm pretty sure it's 100% not protocol since again, he's not even he's not even supposed to be doing this right now. I'm pretty sure there was a hint where it showed that his superiors were telling him not to do this and just like cut it out so he can retire with a nice pension plan or whatever. Um, Again, I guess technically it doesn't have to be malicious. Um, I think that can be argued, but it's definitely not because of protocol stuff. How much information is Keiichi entitled to? I personally feel like he should be getting all the information if his life is on the line for this, but again, personal preference. I don't know. I guess this is like this point is more like my assumptions that Uishi is sort of a evil or at least a chaotic entity, and I think I'll still keep that opinion even with this point. Why does that keep happening? 36, not a hole. Right, this is his thing for the hint. In one of the last hints, Keiichi attempts to reimagine his instant ramen shopping trip, where Rena claimed that she was watching him the entire time. For some reason, when the remaining scene, things got spooky and some mental barriers. Also, how they left that cliffhanger when he looked back maybe indicates that it wasn't Rena. Not a hole, I just think Keiichi was freaking out while he was reimagining. Poof. Hey, no, that seems sketchy. I don't trust that at all. Now you're making me think it wasn't just reimagining. That scene was so weird because all the hints used to be like, I don't know. I don't trust it. Don't add that to it. I don't know if that's just bait to make me think harder, but don't trust it at all. 39, not a hole. It's more indicative that Keiichi's struggling to deal with the idea his friends could be evil and out to get him. Right, this was the scene where Keiichi had this weird monologue about how Uishi was evil and his friends were innocent, and if Uishi never talked to him, or if he would just die, um, none of this would ever happen. Um, and sure, this is a logical thing, but again, it was a really, really intense scene, and if he, and it really goes well with for the curse theory if he's being somehow cursed, um, because again, it really goes well with the brainwashing thing of trust your friends who live in Hinamizawa and it's this outsider's fault. If he was just gone and dealt with, I could be happy with all my other villager friends in Hinamizawa. It just seems extremely culty, and I feel like it could go really well with a culty theory or a mind control theory or a curse theory. But this statement's fine. I think the statement I just made and the statement can also are equally good and can both be considered when theory making. So yeah, not a whole, but I agree. That is fine. 40. What happened in 40? He said something nice. The very first scene, smashing. Yeah, okay. The very first scene of the novel was a person smashing another person with a metal bat. Despite the gruesome scene, it had a weird, heartfelt feeling towards it. Despite Keiichi having an off-screen killing spree, it's natural to think that these two scenes are connected, but I doubt that the mood during the killings were similar and that the first scene could be a hint slash foreshadowing for something else, and this could be bait. Which, yeah, it's Rika bait, bro. Trust me. There you go. I'm glad you didn't forget about the scene. Might I suggest that this scene is from a different place in the chronology. Yes, I know what that means. I just suck at pronouncing stuff. Meaning the future. And is therefore the scene of Keiichi killing his friends. I don't think the tone is out of character. Like I said, throughout the arc, Keiichi is constantly struggling with his love for his friends and his fear of them. If he killed them, it is reasonable to assume that he would be Milan, Melakol. You know, that word, I know it. Don't make fun of me. But yeah, I agree. I agree with this part that it probably isn't out of tone. I don't know why I made that suggestion, but yeah, it is completely shown that even though Keiichi's trying to harden his mind and go through with it, he still has lingering feelings for his friends, and I completely agree that I think I was making the statement more that it's out of tone with the fact that in a more of a general sense that you wouldn't having this heart to heart moment with a person smashing someone with a bat and they wouldn't be like looking into each other's eyes lovingly or whatever. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because Rika did it. Smiley face. But yeah. Um, unless your suggestions about it happening in the future, sure, I guess. But it doesn't really help us in the present time anyways. But sure, if we do see something close to that, then I don't know. We'll just keep it in mind. We'll keep it in mind for some time later. Uh-oh. Factually incorrect. What have I said? There is a hint in a scene where Rena and Mian were discussing Kichi's paranoid behavior and his interactions with Uishi. This is where Mian stated that Uishi is the bringer of Oyashiro-sama, as whenever he visits the village, Oyashiro-sama curses someone. Rena also somewhat states that Satoshi's transferred, but Mian questions her and says she's being too kind. This contradicts the narrative set in the main story where they constantly state that Satoshi transferred away, while stating the idea that transfers are code for something else, but for some reason Mian denies this is their denies this in their interaction. This also shows that both Rena and Mia know about the general idea of what's going on in the village, and without being in spooky mode, without the visual cue at least. Also at the end, they laugh and they say Kichi was going to be Onikakushi away, which looks like they were stating that in a mocking way, which kind of makes it seem that the person who goes missing wasn't a victim of Onikakushi. I'm gonna have to watch this scene again. I'll talk about this, but yeah, let me watch this scene before I comment anything, just to make sure. Okay, back again. Just watch the scene. For the first point, I think you're just misunderstanding what I was trying to say. I wasn't ever stating that Uishi was in the room with them, um, which is fine. I mean, you haven't actually watched the series fully, so it's understandable. But I was just saying that in the hint they were discussing Keiichi's interactions with Uishi, right? They were saying that he's hanging out with this fat middle-aged man, and then Mian starts to explain that whenever he came, like she said that he was the bringer of Oyashiro-sama, and whenever he visited the village, someone would be cursed, and then he like dropped the bomb that Rita's mother was drowned after he came or whatever. But that doesn't matter, because that can be explained that he was just coming to investigate the murders, not he's the bringer of the curse. But yeah, I was never saying that he was actually in the room with them. Maybe that was unclear in my tip. It's true we don't see the face. I'm just talking about the tone, man. There's then most of this was more tonal stuff, especially just rewatching that thing. I got even more creepier vibes. And sure, there's a lack of silence, right? Like, but the after that is, but followed after the silence is really creepy laughter. I think this might just be. This is more just interpretation stuff. To me, again, you can't interpretate facial stuff, and if you just go by the words, then maybe it wouldn't look as sketchy as it is. But voices followed by the laughter, I really do stick with my idea that Rena and Mian have a general idea of what's going to happen, and it really did feel to me that they were mocking the idea that he was going to get Onikakushi away. Especially like Rena's like, oh, is Keiichi gonna become Onikakushi away? Then silence, and they both laughed. Really seems like they're almost taking it as a joke. So yeah, I don't know. I can't really take much from this point. Okay, on to theories. And this is a long ass video. But it's okay. I've been having fun. Take a sip of water though. I have nothing really to dispute here, but I do have things I think worth adding. If you assume that Oyashiro-sama is real, there's a few more suspicious details that line up with that, and that's the apologizing. I don't mean Rena apologizing outside of Keiichi's house for like forever, but Rena talks about hearing Oyashiro-sama follow her around and apologizing a lot back when she was in Ibaraki. I actually don't remember that at all. And just because it's getting kind of late and I need to go to work, I'm not going to watch that, but I'll trust you on that. I'll just make a note to myself while editing. Well, I'm going to be editing this anyways to put all this stuff in and just making sure everything's fine with the video. So I'll definitely look back into that. Because I don't remember the detail that Oyashiro-sama was following Rena around and apologizing to her at all. That seems like new information to me completely. But then I do forget about stuff easily, so I'm gonna have to look for that. I do kind of remember. I don't remember. I also don't remember Oyashiro-sama wanting her to come home. I just thought that Rena says that she needs to go back. So I'm definitely gonna have to look at that again. There's one more incident. Keiichi harped on. Yeah, okay. I remember. I actually do remember this. Yeah, so basically there was a girl who just kept on apologizing, and Keiichi's like, why is she apologizing? It's not gonna make any difference. That's a good point. I'm gonna have to watch that scene again. That no one actually acknowledges. I mean, I do remember this, that no one actually acknowledges it, and Keiichi just keeps her apologizing. But I guess you're kind of making the point that apologizing has something to do with Oyashiro-sama, which is very interesting. Because I do also kind of remember that, I might be wrong, but then with the confrontation where he thought that there was just somebody behind him, and when he started swinging the bat when she was trembling, he thought like maybe that thing behind him was apologizing to. I might be wrong, but that's interesting that something to do with Oyashiro would have to do with apologizing. But again, I'd have to find the Rena back in Ibaraki thing because I don't remember that at all. But you definitely jolted my memory about the train thing. I completely forgot about that for a while, so that's interesting. I definitely have to look at that again. Totally forgot about that. The metal bat thing is weird. My opinion is that it's actually not Oyashiro-sama's curse, but I just kind of put it in that category because it's hard to explain, so therefore it can be in that category, I guess. You, like I said, I just threw a bunch of theories that could work with each other, and the metal bat theory could work with Oyashiro-sama since there's some eerie stuff to it, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, this is interesting. Didn't even think about apologies at all. Um, Village's cult. I already put some pretty big hole in the premises of some of the evidence for this, so I won't repeat those. I do want to say that it really isn't Rena's route. Each arc has a primary and secondary focus character, but the primary focus character in this arc isn't Rena either. She's a secondary. Don't let the icons deceive you. That's a good point. I'm sure there wasn't really icons like this when the thing came out. Um, what were the holes? I guess this whole thing about the alternative modes. I mean, I addressed those. I think they do need some more classifications to them, but I think they're pretty accurate for now. Um, yeah, I don't know. Can always re-comment on what those are exactly. Because I thought most of them weren't actually talking about. I don't think they really. I guess you also questioned the idea that Mion's. It's evident that Mion was involved with the first case, but I don't think any of these really disprove my initial idea, the one I'm really strong about, which is that the villagers for sure killed the first victim. Again, I don't think anything has. I'm sure nothing has really even challenged that so far. Even if Mion isn't involved, it doesn't matter. Um, even though Mion, actually, Mion does kind of matter, but um, I guess yeah, too. I guess the question that Mion could directly kill Uishi in the past, and again, maybe it's I don't think that maybe she was able to directly kill him because she was a kid, but I think because of her family status, they could definitely get him killed. So I don't know. I think my theory is still fine. Yeah. Obviously, you yourself can comment on stuff I'm saying to if you wanna point out why you think my theories, this village theory, has a hole in it. I didn't really feel that through this anyways. I think you did poke more, or at least attempted to poke more holes with the Uishi. Because again, I will admit myself that I definitely have the suspicious boner for Uishi. I don't trust him at all anymore. It's just funny because he used to be like my most trustworthy character after that incident, and I think your points do make sense about it, but yeah, this is more me of just having a stubborn mind on this. So, and yeah, you even say he's so sussing with those in mind. So, outside party. I can't poke holes because we don't know either way. I agree. I agree that outs believing that outside parties have a big role might be hasty, and I have been kind of asserting that they have a big role. But I do like my evidence of them. I think the main point being that how is a small rural village trying to create a drug or whatever, being the biggest point. But you're right. Having an outside force is kind of weird. And I am unexperienced with mysteries, but I'm pretty sure the cast for the I'm pretty sure the standard anyways is the cast is like introduced at least in the first, not in the beginning exactly, but around there. Which obviously isn't the fact for this, since there's definitely I don't think the I don't think the mastermind was introduced yet, but I'd be surprised if he was. But you're right, I shouldn't. Again, there's just not enough information about if there is a outside party, but I do think it's believable, and I definitely shouldn't see them as a main villain without any information yet. Agreed. Um, Mini theories. Dude, these are just memes. You didn't have to. You didn't have to poke holes in these, alright? uh, what was my first one? This, I can't believe you even analyzed these. Keiichi was super stressed throughout the series and countless scenes. It might be possible that he was delusional and interpreted a bunch of things super negatively and just murdered Mion and Rena for no real reason. This would also explain why he thought closing the garage door was not suspicious when he thought the opposite, and when it was opposite, and in fact he might have imagined the mochi since the needle was never found. This could also fit with the Uishi manipulation theory. At the end, he realizes what he does and kills himself out of guilt after telling Uishi he was cursed as a way to rationalize what he has done. Actually, dude, that theory's pretty dank. A lot of it's like not even that bad too. Like the fact that admitting to Uishi's like, oh yeah, I was cursed. That's why I did those horrible things as a rationalization of why he killed Rena and Mion is actually super cool. Um, and then the needle never being found is also proof. It's high stress. But that's oh, I love this. I love the. I don't think this will be correct because it's kind of cheesy way to end a mystery, but it's pretty fun. What do you say about this? Interesting idea. It does go with some of the questions. I asked that call Keiichi's reliability into question. Of course, this would still have to explain the needle and the syringe, which begs the question of if Keiichi is not reliable, how unreliable is he? He could still be reliable, of course, but if he's not, then extent matters. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with if he's reliable or not. Because I do think I was questioning his reliability throughout the series, but it's just a natural instinct to still take what he says seriously, even if you have the idea of unreliability at mind, because then you'll just be questioning everything seen in the story, which becomes a hassle, right? But I'll work on it. Yeah, what's the second one? The story is a simulation, and Keiichi was just talking to NPCs. The moment when Keiichi felt the presence behind him in the doorway was someone from the outside world trying to make contact with him. The mysterious group was really the development team trying to fix the error by resetting Keiichi. I love that. That's good. This is hilariously meta. How Umineko of you. Not much evidence for this one. That yeah, there's not really evidence for this, but it's interesting. I'm kind of proud of these, making like fun little super theories. After all that, like I'm pretty sure I just did this to have some fun after like all this work of thinking for like days. Another simulation theory, but it's kind of like the plot of K5. where the villagers are just clones of themselves and the mysterious group are running multiple scenarios. In all of the next games, the characters will just be new clones. K and K5's Karen OK5, by the way, if you didn't know. Still Umineko of you, but less so since clones are sci-fi. Not much evidence either. K and K5 is basically some guy built a giant condo complex, and basically he brought a bunch of mentally unstable people there and designed it in a way that they were that they would like kill themselves, and then he used their brains to make clones to repeat the actions to see if eventually they would like not kill themselves or another scenario would happen. And I think I was trying to say, I don't know if I actually did this right, but I was saying that maybe they were running scenarios, putting them in similar situations to see like maybe Keiichi was destined to die, but maybe in one of these scenarios he would like live or something. But I didn't really want to type that all out because it's definitely not right, but it's funny. And Satoko is best girl, as per usual. Good taste. Agreed, my dude. So yeah, that was fun. Definitely some of these points will definitely help me in the future. Some of these points I kind of brushed off, and some of them are more like debatable. I'm sure you can respond back to them in the comments if you want, and anyone else. Again, as long as you don't spoil anything, feel free to talk about these comments, either on the YouTube comments or if you're in the Higurashi Discord or whatever it's called. But thanks for watching. This was super fun and very enjoyable to make. Again, big shout out to 96% done for helping me with this, and I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, it's been like, I don't know how long this is, definitely over an hour, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm down to do this again after I finish watching Adachi, if anyone else is down or whatever. But yeah, as always, it's Aiden. Hope you enjoyed that, and for all the Higurashi viewers, I mean, if you're caught up at least, I hope you enjoy watching Adachi next week. And yeah, I don't know how to end videos. Anyways, have a good day, and see you soon.